Hi, I'm Dwayne Martin. I've been a judge here 40-some years. I was probably the first 4-H sweepstakes winner back in 1967. On there, I've had my own greenhouse operation. Well, I had it for 19 years. I've worked with the White River Gardens as a curator there, and I've worked in a flower shop. So I've got a pretty broad spectrum from the artistic end to growing plants. Currently, I'm judging the terrariums here, and I usually judge from faults because that's more the area. Here's my merit that I have so far in this terrarium. One of the first things I look for is the soil depth. You want that real shallow so you have more area visual to see the plants. You want to see the plants, not soil. Like up in here, I don't know, can you see that one? See, the soil's pretty high up in this area, and a couple others. So you want to have more room for that. It's always nice to see if you have any roots showing through. That shows that the plants have been established. Some of them here, I usually go in, I do the little tug test to see if the plants lift up. Here's one, for instance. They tried to sneak this in on me. They just stuck a cutting in. See, there's no roots at all whatsoever on here. And again, this soil is pretty deep on here. So I look at that, I look at how well established the roots are. I look at the arrangements to see if it's a nice fullness or not. Then I start looking to see if there's any damage to the plants. Usually I find a lot of rotting occurring up here, and some of that I always take a little bit into consideration because of the county fairs. A lot of these are set at the county fair for a week and just almost come straight to the state fair. And so I kind of consider the abuse that they've been through on that. But I usually try to write on there, that instance. Another thing I look for, can you zoom in on, how close can you zoom in? Like the soil level, the line, to see if it's kind of smooth. And then a lot of them, they have dirt that's splashed up on the inside of the glass, just part of the grooming, just like you groom cattle. You want to brush all that soil down, either with you can take a small paintbrush and dust it down. You can, if your hand can fit in there, you can do a Kleenex or something just to get it down. Or actually, if you plant it and when you water, use a mist squirt bottle to squirt the inside down. So you want to look for the cleanliness here. This plastic container, the plastic tends to show a little bit more water spotting. And there's several little spots that showed up on this one here. There. Again, over here, this would be one that's the soil's a little high. And on here, this is one of the earlier ones I judged. If you look at the soil color, that can tell me how wet or how dry it is. And if they're too dry, like this one, this actually looks like there's absolutely no water that's been added to it, but the soil will either be a light beige color or a light gray color if it's an artificial soil mix, versus the dark black when it's wet. I have had them up here where there's water standing in them, so we don't want water standing in them either. Because probably the kid thought it was going to be, up here at the fair nobody's going to water, so they overwatered it. It almost looked like a lake. So far I haven't seen any of that this year. But back to this one here, it's a nice container, but the plants are just totally loose inside, not established at all. Again, another one, you can see the soil depth, it's way, way too deep. Just kind of going through some of them, like this is a red, I did red here, this was a blue. If it's a borderline blue, sometimes I even write low blue, to let them know that they're not perfect, but they lucked out. And up here was a red placing, I did a blue placing here. But so far this is the best one that I've had. You can see the fullness of the plants to grow, the shallowness of the soil. But again, looking for the roots. One of them did a sand sculpture. And so, like, can you see down here where they're trying to do a design with this in the soil part? And to me, they almost spend more time doing that than actually considering the growth of the plants on there. So that's, it's tried to be pretty, but again, they tend to have too much soil when they do that. And again, you can't see the plants. Like this one here, It probably helped that it had the light attachment to it. So this was probably just a fish aquarium at one point. But if you can look inside, see how the plant's all been pushed up against the top? You know, so it's trying to grow up into the light, but see how much soil's down here? If they only need like 1 to 2 inches of soil to grow in. So they could have had 2 or 3 more inches of height for their plants, you know, if they would have dropped all that down. And then also, I don't know if you can you zoom in on this? The grooming, the little brown tips. We should, you know, groom our plants, make sure all the dead leaves are off. You know, just you know, taking anything that doesn't look quite right off on there. So generally, if they met most all the requirements and the plants are fairly established, I usually go to the blue ribbon on that. Then if it's too wet or too much soil, or I start lowering the placing. And then generally, almost to the point now, I just give the white ribbons when there's plants that are dying, you know, not growing and all that. Or this one here, it's not really a lid. They just had the foil on, which can work, but they had the slits in here, so it really wasn't airtight like it should be. And plus, this year I'm getting plants that are more outdoor plants. Like this is a juniper, which really doesn't lend itself as well to a terrarium. And they should have 3 plants in the terrarium where this only has 1 on there. And again, you can see it's all soil, you know, just very little room for the plant to grow. So that's kind of a little nutshell on there. So does that help?